Jonathan Gagerson here with Perspective C, three-time cancer survivor, been now through 174 treatments for cancer, but I'm still smiling, and I hope you are too. Today on this podcast, I want to come to you from a point of view that, are you stuck on the table? And that's what I'm titling this one, Stuck on the Table. So what I want to share with you is something that occurred to me during my second round of radiation. I had proton radiation. So I've been through both types of radiation. If you're not familiar with proton radiation, it takes quite a bit longer. You're on the table for quite a bit longer. And when I say on the table, because I had head and neck cancer, I was on the table locked down in a mask with a mouthpiece in my mouth so I couldn't talk very well, lying flat on my back on a steel metal table, and it's this huge machine going on around you. And it takes, for me, my sessions were at least 30 to 40 minutes every time I went in because of how many fields I was getting radiated. Well, it's like my third or fourth session in, and so early on in my second round of radiation treatment, that I had 2 areas radiated, and out of 4, and we're going for the third area. The machine moves to that area, but then nothing happens. And, you get used to the sounds in the room. You get used to sounds when hey, the machine is on doing its thing. The machine is not yet going. So I could tell nothing was happening. But I'm sitting there stuck on the table. I'm locked down. I can't go anywhere. Can't move my head, my upper body. My arms were in place. I mean, I technically could lift up my legs, but I was stuck on the table with nowhere to go. Well, some time passed, about 10 or 15 minutes passed, when finally the radiation tech came on the intercom and said, hey, the machine went down. They're working on getting it back up. Hang tight. It should only be another 5 or so minutes. I said, okay, well, at this point, because of surgery, I'm actually having some heavy buildup where it's difficult for me to breathe through my nose. I couldn't breathe through my mouth because of the mouthpiece. So I'm actually struggling a little bit in breathing and having to deal with some things. But I'm like, I want to get this over with and be done. Because not only that, it was like 11 o'clock at night. I was one of the last patients in that night. Well, about another 10 or so minutes goes on, and nothing's happening. So I've already been on the table about 20 minutes from when I got there. And now we've just added another 20 minutes of me just sitting there. So now I've been on the table 40 minutes, and I still have 2 fields that need to be radiated. So I'm sitting there wondering what's going on. And so I lift up my arm to kind of wave, and they come on the intercom and they said, yes, hi. And they said, we know you're probably wondering where it should only be a few more minutes, might be a little longer. Are you okay? Give me a thumbs up if you're okay, or give me a thumbs down if you need me to come in. So I gave them a thumbs down. So then they came in to talk to me, didn't unhook me right away. And they said, listen, it should only be 5 or so more minutes. We're not sure, but are you okay if we just keep you in the position so then we can just continue? And I gave them a thumbs down, and I said, not going to work. And so they ended up unhooking me so I could sit up and breathe was my thing, which I'm glad I did because it took 20 more minutes before the machine was ready. And the reason they didn't necessarily want me to get up if I didn't have to and I was comfortable was because they wouldn't have to do the resettings of certain things before they get started. So it would have just made it quicker to restart and go. So I understand what the radiation tech was thinking. But I was having trouble breathing. I mean, genuinely having trouble breathing. So I sit up and grasping some air and just kind of, taking a moment. And about, like I said, 20 minutes passed, and they lay me back down, lock me back in, machine gets going, and we finish up in about another 15 or so minutes. So for total, I was in that radiation table in that room for about an hour and a half. Well, I finally leave, and when I leave, I walk upstairs. It was during COVID, so my wife couldn't come in and wait in the waiting room. She actually had to wait outside in the car. So she'd been waiting outside in the car for an hour and a half, wondering what's going on with my husband. It usually doesn't take this long. So, of course, she's having thoughts like, oh my gosh, what happened? Something went wrong. There's this, that, whatever. She sees me, look of relief. I walk out, give her a hug, and she goes, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. She's like, well, what happened? I said, I was stuck on the table. And she goes, what do you mean stuck? Like you couldn't get up? I said, no, I was stuck on the table because the machine broke down and I'm locked in. So what they thought was going to only take 5 minutes or so to fix took about half hour to 40 minutes to fix. So finally, I had to ask for them to come undo the mask and get undone and sit up and breathe because I couldn't do it. And so then when they lied me back down, they had to recalibrate or do whatever they do to get started again. But I was stuck on the table. And I say that to you because I know many times in life we can feel like we're just stuck on the table. We're just locked down. We can't go anywhere. We feel so locked into our current situation and what's happening that you might as well have been locked down in a radiation mask with a mouthpiece in your arm, in your mouth. You can't talk, you can't move, no ways of communication, and you're just sitting there stuck on the table. And the truth is, unless you're literally like I was, stuck on a table where you needed help for someone to come and unlock me, you're really not stuck. You do have a choice to say, I have to do something about this, and I have to change what I'm doing because what I'm doing right now is not working. Yet, what we have to do to change, a lot of times, we don't want to take that action. We don't want to have to add something into our calendar. We don't want to have to add this. We don't want to have to go through that pain of doing that thing, whatever it is, so we become unstuck and we can get off the table. Now, for me, something I learned is I could not get unstuck or off the table without help. I needed the help of the technicians to come unlock my mask that was over my face and my torso. They had to come and literally unlock it so then I could sit up. And that's what we have to do as people. When we feel that we're stuck on the table, we have to be willing to reach out and be very transparent with those that we can trust. You can't trust everybody. Understand me. You can't share why you're stuck on the table with everybody. There are people that if you share you're stuck on the table what's going on, they're going to judge you for it. And they're going to make sly remarks, and they're not going to get it. But that's okay. They don't have to get it. Yet, those who genuinely care about you and want to see you succeed and have a heart of giving, those are the people you want to share with of why you're stuck on the table. And because just like I needed help for someone to undo my radiation mask, you may need help for someone to help you get off the table to make that next step, whether it's being a better parent, a better husband, creating more income, maybe understanding discipline more, exercise, whatever it may be. For example, I have a great friend of mine who wanted to lose weight, and he sees me working out all the time. I look at working out as I want to live, so I need to work out. His view of working out was, this is boring, I hate it, I don't ever want to do it, why would I want to do this? But yet he wanted to lose weight. Finally, after some time, I got him to start coming to my house and working out together. And he didn't love it. His attitude was stinky, but he was here doing it. And that's all I asked. And he did it all. Never said, well, I'm not doing that. He said, okay, all right. He didn't like it, but he did it. Then the next step is I went and got him in a program that I was doing at the same time at a facility that was doing some, intense interval training sessions that we would go together. And he would do them together with me. And he was like, oh my gosh, this is a whole nother level. Well, it got to a point where I let him make his own decision. He ended up signing up for a year and is about 35 pounds lighter already. And now he says he actually looks forward to his workouts because he knows he's seen results and he knows how much better he's feeling today. I helped him get off the table. He was stuck on a table in his health, and I helped him get off that table, but then he empowered himself, took the initiative to stay off the table and continue. It might be the same thing with your career or finances. You may need somebody to look at your finances with you who can be honest with you and tell you what you need to stop doing. And you may not like it, but they'll be the ones that can say, listen, you need to stop doing this so you have more money. And then you won't be in such a bind. Because you got to have people who are willing to help you get stuck off the table. The great news is that you're not literally locked down in a mask like I was. You don't have a mouthpiece in your mouth that makes it so you can't breathe through your mouth or communicate. When I was stuck on that table I was there literally an hour sitting on that table. Imagine not being able to move, locked down, no talking, just sitting there for an hour listening to the electrical current noise. The thoughts that go through one's head are quite interesting. I had thoughts from mountain bluebirds to what my grandchildren would look like to what I'm going to try to eat tomorrow morning for breakfast. I can't sit there and tell you that I had some amazing, deep, profound thoughts during that time because I just wanted to get off the table. I wanted to get unstuck. And so many of us want to do that. Just get unstuck off the table. Get unstuck. So here's another funny story. Recently, with another friend of mine, we were out on his ATV, also known as like a side-by-side, where you actually sit. It's like think about it like a mini car, but dune buggy or something like that, where you can go off-roading on. And he let me drive, and I was driving it, and we got to this one area that was real muddy, and it was very unlevel terrain, and I took a moment. Well, I made a mistake. I took it too high, going very slow, in slow motion. The machine actually started to tip, and boop, it tipped right on its side. So I'm actually in the mud. The owner of it is in the passenger seat. He's up high. We both have our seatbelts on, and I'm getting covered in mud, and I kind of start laughing, literally laughing. Now, my friend whose machine, he wasn't laughing so much, but also because he was up high, trying to figure out what are we going to do here. I just kind of started laughing. And then a phone fell, and he goes, oh, grab my phone. And then I grab it, and I hand it to him. He goes, oh, that's not mine, that's yours. So my phone was the one that fell in the mud. Well, we undid our seatbelts, started laughing, and then opened up the latch, climbed right through. We were all okay, 100%. But our machine was on its side, stuck in the mud. And two people can't turn over a machine. Well, that entire day, we hadn't barely seen anybody out on the course in mud. And so we were Is anybody coming? How are we going to get this undone? And so I just kind of was like, well, we'll figure this out here. Something's going to happen. There's a way for me. I have a pickup truck. I could get my pickup truck up here somehow, and we could probably rig something. Well, within like 4 minutes of us getting out, a kid shows up. And he goes, oh, man, you guys are in trouble here. Oh, hey, I got a big posse of people coming, he tells me. And he did have an accent like that. And so next thing we know, like 20 people show up, all in there side by side, see us flipped over. And they're like, oh, we'll get you back up and running. Next thing we know, we're watching this whole thing unfold. They got a winch. They pull the machine back on its wheels, get on it. We back up a little bit, and we're ready to go. Well, one of the first things out of their mouth was, is everybody okay? And we're like, yeah, we're fine. One guy looked at me and goes, no, you don't look good. Your eye looks swollen. I said, no, I'm okay. He goes, you sure your eye is swollen? I go, yeah, I'm good. My eye is fine. After a little bit, another guy looks at me and goes, your neck looks all weird. Are you sure you're okay? Your neck doesn't look right. So finally, we have the machine turned proper, right? And 20 people are there. I finally kind of stood up and said, everyone, I am okay. We're no longer stuck in the mud because of all you guys. But 2, I'm a 3-time cancer survivor. What you see is just lymphedema swelling in my eye. And I have leg on my neck. And that's why my neck looks different. But honestly, I am 100% A-okay. When I said that, they were like, what? What are you doing out here? What are you doing this? I said, well, because I didn't go through cancer treatment to sit at home on a couch all day. I went to go do things. And they're like, well, awesome, man. Wow, proud of you. This is crazy. I said, yeah, it happens. My point to that is we were stuck in the mud. And once again, when we weren't sure if there was going to be help shows up, and all these people helped us get unstuck out of the mud and back on course. So right now, if you feel like you're stuck on a table, maybe you flipped and you're stuck in the mud, reach out to somebody who can help you. Reach out to somebody who can make a difference for you. Seek the help, but no, you're not locked in like I was on a table. You're not flipped over and can't move like we were in the ATV. You have the ability to move and change. And I know so many of us who have dealing with cancer or terminal illnesses or just long-term illnesses, we can feel really stuck on the table every day. And we can feel that there's just no way I'm going to get out of this. Let me encourage you, you can. You can. You may have to make some changes. Most likely you will. You will most likely have to ask for help. And you will most likely be uncomfortable while you do it. Yet the result will be getting unstuck off that table and moving on with life. So I want to encourage you, get off the table. Get yourself unstuck. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Once again, this is Jonathan Gagerson, 3-time cancer survivor. If you haven't gotten my book yet, Perspective C, The Power of Words, Time, Love, and Suffering, it's available on Amazon.com. Just type in perspective, then the letter C. That is perspective, then the letter C. If you type that in, or even if you go online and type that in, my book will come up. You'll see it's just getting 5-star reviews from all sorts of people. This is a book that'll help you, help everybody by reading this book. So I really want to encourage you to get a copy of it and read it and so forth. But again, I've had 174 treatments so far, but this is Jonathan Gagerson, and just know that I'm still smiling.